Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Everything You Know About Disability is Wrong. We are super excited for today's episode. We have Collette Divitto, who is the founder and CEO of Collette's Cookies. This is such an awesome interview and really gets to the core of what we wanted to do this season, talking about really empowering work that's coming out of the disability community. I think Collette absolutely embodies that spirit and inclusion and trying to create a more accepting environment, especially in the workplace for people with disabilities.
And what I really loved about this episode is how she talks about interdependence, how her family has helped her in her journey with her job, and the whole conversation about her mom was kind of relatable for me, but I loved it.
It's a great episode. I'm excited for our listeners to hear it. I totally agree, and I think that that's also a core tenet of the disability community that people on the outside might not know about. So it's great for Everything You Know Is Wrong, in that interdependence is crucial. It's really important. It's the way we create projects and systems that help us all thrive. So I'm really excited for this episode, and also just blown away by Colette's cookies. They're delicious, and I hope everyone after this episode orders a bunch of them. Let's get into it.
Yay!
Oh my goodness, you are such an inspiration. Wow, you really are. You're so strong. Can I pet your service dog? Ugh. 1, 2, 3, let's go! We are artists, parents, teachers, good guys, bad guys, students, leaders. I'm not your inspiration, yeah, I'm fully who I am. Got my own expectations that don't fit into your plans. I'm not your sad story, so I wrote it in this song. Everything you know about disability is wrong. Yeah, everything you know. Yeah, everything you know about disability is wrong.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Everything You Know About Disability is Wrong. Today we have a very exciting guest. Hi, Colette. Thank you for joining us today.
Because I am so honored to be on this call. I am very excited. Thank you.
I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
We love your story, and especially because this month we're recording in October, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. You want to just give us a little bit of your story for our listeners to hear a bit about you and get to know you?
I can. Yes. Okay. I always loved baking since I was younger. Since I was in high school, since in high school, I was bullied a lot. I did not have a social life like my sister. Yes, and also I was bullied. That part from high school, that is actually very sad on me. And that's why I do not want to feel down on myself a lot. And that's why I started baking as my fun hobby. Every weekend at home, down at my hometown, I always make is actually cakes and pies. I make all of those fun things as my fun hobby. But because I didn't know anything all about baking at first, and that's why I actually fell in love with baking. That is exactly what I really want that's what I really want my mom is to put me into a baking class when I was in high school, which that she actually did. I was actually one of the best. I was actually one of the best student. Right into my baking class. I was really good at it. Right after high school, I went to college. I went to Clemson University down in South Carolina. There is actually a left program down at Clemson. There is actually a 3-year program there. It's to learn about jobs and also independent. I am so actually read. So I am. So I graduated early as their 3-year program in just 2 years. I moved to Boston.
Wow.
I was trying to find jobs. They will not call me. They just sent me an email saying that Colette, that is me. It was great to meet you in person, but at this time we feel I am not a good fit because of me who born Down syndrome. And that's why I let you, and that's what that, yeah. So right after that happened, I brought samples of my cinnamon chocolate cookie to this local market here in Boston, nearby my home. If they would sell them. They have been selling them really quickly. Everybody loves them, and that's why they wanted 100 packages by the end of the week. And that is why I started my own company. So actually, I actually started my own company in 2016. That was in December. I make all 6 different types of cookies. So actually, I won first company that is actually just for they are just for cookies that is actually called for profit. I won second company. It's a non-profit. That one is called Cookies Leadership.org. I have been teaching different classes. I have been teaching about independence, how to become as an entrepreneur, and then also I have been teaching other classes. I always got it in person all the time, but because during COVID time, I have to do it by alone. I prefer doing it in person if it is so easy on me, not always being alone. And also I love doing, now the speaking is my whole mission. So I always love doing is really about creating more jobs for people with disabilities. I have two books. First book, it's the first book. That one, it has been out. That one is called Colette in Kindergarten. I have a second book. second book just came out on my birthday day. And that one, it's called Colette in the Grid. So that's why I like to keep on writing. That's why I like to keep on writing more of my own books all the way up to my company. I actually do have an own TV show on Peacock. That show is called Born for Business. It's with 4 entrepreneurs. I am actually one of those people who have a cookie company. So actually, all 4 of us from the show, we have our own disabilities. I actually do have a baking shows, and also I have all 6 episodes of my show. That show is actually called Underestimate. That is on my YouTube channel. Oh yes, I actually do have 2 new cookies. They are actually same kind as my big ones. They are actually called crispy cinnamon chocolate chip, and also crunchy oatmeal raisin cookies. They are actually right into of my. They are actually into my retail bags. I did let it at TD Garden in Boston, Stop there, Source Market, Stone Market, but because it is actually all the pocket too, they're like added locations. And then, and also I have 15 people who have been working for me. I have been doing is actually I have been doing. I love doing. I have been doing is actually training and also having people with disabilities. I actually actually I have like as my team in my company. I actually do have is actually half of people who have a disability and another and another half of people that do not have a disability. So now you know who I am. So
What an awesome story. Thank you for sharing everything with us. I think that is so, I mean, one, I'm sorry that people were so cruel in high school and that you dealt with bullying. That is awful, and I think is a common thread.
I was only pushing right for my high school terms. I have been through so much. Like since I have been through all these hard times, such as friends I don't have. I have been bullied. My dad, my brother, all that things from the past. I cannot think about the past. I really can't. So.
Yeah, I think you clearly moved forward and found the goodness in the really hard times, which I think is something that unfortunately a lot of us with disabilities have to deal with, bullying and bad things that happen. But I love that in that dark moment of time when you were facing so much hardship, you found cooking and you found baking, and I'm so glad you took that class, because now you're doing so many great things for the disabled community as a whole and showing, especially I really love what you're doing with your YouTube series Underestimated. I think it's really important to show the world that just because we have disability doesn't mean that we can't do anything.
Exactly. Yes.
Totally.
So the next question I was gonna ask was why cookies, but I think we got that story. It makes sense. It makes sense what baking did for you and why you chose. So was there a reason that you picked cookies instead of cake or other things you made?
We'll actually we'll actually just for cakes and pies, and so cakes and pies, and with all the things. That is just for my fun hobby. I love doing every weekend at home, but because so I said besides stress, yes, like with the cookies, it had to be business. Like,
Okay, that makes sense.
like as my company, so that's different. So
Well, I love that you kept some hobbies just for yourself
Yes.
because sometimes when you make your entire hobby your business, it can be like overwhelming and then you don't have anything fun. So I'm glad you still have like cakes and pies that keep baking really fun for you.
yes, as my fun hobby, yes. But because
I love that.
will tell you, I am actually going to tell you why why cookies because I make a music I make a music cookies, and everyone loves them very much. And that's what they have been buying my cookies over and over again, and that is exactly how much they actually love them.
Yeah.
That's my answer of that second question. So
I love that, and I think
Yeah.
that that's wonderful. I think that's just so exciting and makes sense. It's like just a good business decision. When people are going to buy them, you might as well keep making them.
have to.
So then you had a very kind of one of those viral overnight experiences where you were featured on the news.
Yep.
And then you woke up and the next morning you had 4,000 orders. What was that like? What was that experience like for you?
My gosh. So I am actually going to tell you why of that. Well, for that third question, I am actually going to tell you why. Having 4,000 orders, that is actually too many. In which I cannot do it by myself at all, and that's what I had to ask people. I have been asking my mom and my sister and my aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. Usually, I would not say is actually. I would say. I would not say my friends since I don't have friends from high school, because I only can say this. So actually, I have been asking all of my sister friends and my mom friends too, and also I have been asking all of the college people. I have to ask. I have to ask all of the. So I'm talking really fast.
Okay.
I only can say this. I could do it on my own. I had to ask my mom and my family, and uncles, and my sister friends, and also mom friends too as well. I have been asking big new people. I have to ask. I had to ask all of the. No, I had to ask all of the college sports teams. No, sorry, not sports. I meant as a sports team. They're from college. Such as baseball, hockey, football people. Is to have all of those people. Is to come to my space. Is to come help me out for doing 4,000 orders that has came in. So
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a wild experience, just waking up to such a big change in business and orders. That's amazing, though.
it went crazy, and I can do it all by myself, and it's way too much. It is way too much on me, and that's why
Yeah.
I had to ask those people is to help me out, and which
Well-
they did. So
Yeah, I'm so glad that you had people who helped you out and you were able to kind of ride that wave of the 4,000 orders. So then more people heard about your company and you were able to get that support. And I think that it's, you know, important, especially if you felt like you didn't necessarily have that community, especially in high school. You didn't really have like the group of friends you could depend on. So it's really wonderful that with something like your business, you were able to have a lot of people that you could depend on that showed up for you and helped you with the 4,000 orders.
Yes.
That's really incredible. And I think that's a really awesome part of your story.
thank you.
Yeah, I love that everyone came together to help you out. Just like, I can't imagine all that work just by yourself. Too much.
It's a lot. It really is. So
So then was it after that that you decided like, okay, this can't just be me anymore. If we're going to have a lot of regular orders, I need to expand. And is that when you started hiring and you ended up with a staff that is half other people with
I
disabilities?
am. Yes.
That's wonderful. So you've kind of touched on it that that's one of your goals is just to hire more people with disabilities.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Actually, not just that. So we actually, for my goals, for my company, is really about. Yeah, I really want to keep on doing is actually creating more jobs for people with disabilities, and my and also and also doing more of my non-profit is to teaching different classes for those people out there. I really want to how to keep on doing that. And also don't forget, I love doing also is actually doing more of my of my of my of my of my speaking events. So
Cool. Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that you have like are teaching the classes, especially focused on independence. What made you decide that you wanted to focus on teaching about independence?
I'm so
That wasn't really one of the questions that I had listed, but so what kind of classes do you teach?
I have been teaching is actually it's really about independence, how to live independently, and my second class, that one is actually pretty about how to become as an entrepreneur, which I am. I
Yeah.
learned that part from my mom, who but because I didn't know how to start my own company at the very beginning, I learned that also from my mom too. I have been teaching other ones too. I think you can do is to go on my website and just go on my non-profit and just check it out. So
Yeah, definitely. For all of our listeners, I think that you should definitely go to her website and check that out, because I think that people don't necessarily understand like what would be taught in classes about independence, and like that's super duper important.
It is.
And I love that. I also love that your mom taught you how to be an entrepreneur. I think that's incredible, and we need more women entrepreneurs in general. I think that
Yes,
sometimes when people think entrepreneur, they think of like a man in a suit. And
exactly like that. Yes.
yeah, so we want to change that perception. And I mean, you are an incredible entrepreneur. You've started your own company, the cookie company. You have a nonprofit. You make videos. You do public speaking. You're a podcast guest. You are doing it all. And I think that you are. I think everything you're doing is really important, because the next question we're going to ask is, why do you think companies are not hiring people with disabilities? And I think that everything you're doing is working to help companies learn that they should be. But why do you think that is? And why do you think you faced you faced clearly discrimination when people were just telling you you're not a good fit. Why do you think that was?
So as a good example, just like me, like since I was on job, since I was trying to find jobs to really want to make money, is to earn a living, to really want to live independently. That's why that they think that I have a disabilities, and that's that, and also they should not think that way for those people out there who have a disabilities, who cannot find jobs. That hurts me so much, and it breaks my heart for those people who really want to find jobs, who really want to make money, also who really want to earn a living, just like me. Just like me. They really don't want to live with their parents. They don't want to do that. They really want to live independently. But because those people in their different companies, they actually think that those people with ADs abilities, they are not capable. They cannot do anything, and that makes that hurts me very much, and that's what they really want to make money, is to earn a living, who really want to live independently, who will always have to live with the parents all the time. So that's why.
Yeah, and I think so many people think about independence, but they forget that, you can't be independent if you can't pay for things in this world, and if you're not getting hired, you're not getting hired. That's a problem.
Yes.
Erin, what was I know you've worked at Easter Seals for a while now. What
Yeah.
was your job finding experience like before that?
Um, I applied to like hundreds of jobs and never heard back. Ever. Not even like,
Happens to
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, and they never said, sorry, I just got nothing. And then I saw a message on Facebook advertising the job that I am in now. And I applied, and I met Yolanda first, and it was amazing. But it shouldn't be, because Easter Seals is a disability organization, so I think they're more open to hiring somebody with a disability. Whereas, like, other places are not. So that's, yeah. It is very painful to think about.
Yeah, especially with, I'm so glad that you're where are at right now, Colette, with your company. And Erin, I know you love this job and we get to make cool stuff all the time, but it really is devastating to think that there are so many people out there who are just continually underestimated and not given a chance to show their skills. I think that's just really hard, and I agree. I think that it's hard not to get emotional thinking about, like, it's discrimination fully, and I think it's one of the forms of discrimination that doesn't get really talked about. I mean, I think most of the world is still learning that ableism is even a word, and that, people with disabilities do face discrimination. So I'm glad we're talking about it, and I'm glad that you have such a passion, Colette, for making the world see that we should hire people with disabilities and that we're capable. And I just think that's really wonderful. So my next question, specifically, we've talked about disabilities in general. Just so you're familiar, Colette, I'm autistic, and Erin has muscular dystrophy, and we like to just talk about in each episode kind of like what people get wrong about us.
Yes.
What do you think people assume about Down syndrome specifically?
So what do I think about people? Assume about people with Down syndrome. So I think, I had to say this. Most most people who do not believe in, most people who do not believe in, most people they do not believe, most people do not believe with people who actually born with a Down syndrome, who have been treated really badly. That happens of me also. Most people they just think that people just like me who actually born Down syndrome and also having a disability. It actually hurts me very much. Because that most people they have been treating them so differently, and also they do not believe in them. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a reason your series on YouTube is called Underestimated. I think that there's a lot of assumptions. People just think that,
Because
they...
is dumb. People with a disabilities, they should not treat them very differently. They should not do that to those people. And it's that way for those people. it makes them feel really sad
Mm-hmm.
inside of them. So
Yeah, and like, all of us
yeah.
just want to be treated
Yes, and be
the same as anybody else.
exactly.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep, and just be who you are. Never
Mm-hmm.
change anything all about. Don't change anything of yourself at all.
Never, nope.
Yeah, and that's so hard for people to embrace
Yeah.
self confidence and embrace being who they are if you're constantly being, having assumptions made about you, especially for being autistic. Which is a non-apparent disability. Most people, when they look at me, don't necessarily think I'm autistic. And I've had experiences where I'm talking to someone, it's going great, we're having a great time, and then I kind of casually mention that I'm autistic, and suddenly, they were talking to me normally, and now suddenly they're like, "Oh, okay, hi." And it's like, why did you just change your tone of voice? We were in the middle of a conversation, and I think that, when people can see a disability immediately, they think they know everything and they make a lot of assumptions. And for anyone listening to this podcast that is thinking to themselves like, oh, have I done that? I think it's okay to acknowledge that we live in a world where we, up until pretty recently, didn't talk about disability very much.
Yep.
And people with disabilities have often been separated, put in separate classrooms, and we're just now starting to really address ableism. And I think it's okay to acknowledge your own ableism and say, like, oh, you know what, I think I did have some assumptions about autistic people or about people with Down syndrome or about people with physical disabilities or anything. I had these assumptions. It's better to acknowledge what you think and realize that you're wrong than to just kind of try to gloss over it. So I urge any listeners who have any assumptions about any kind of disability to understand. One thing we always say is that, when you know one person with a disability, you know one person with a disability. That's it. You don't get to make assumptions about everyone else because we're all our own people and we have awesome personalities worth getting to know. And like even on this podcast, this is my experience of autism and your experience of Down syndrome. We will have other guests on who are autistic that have different experiences or who have Down syndrome who have different experiences because we are full human beings and we're different and we're not just one thing. So I just really appreciate all of the work you're doing, and I hope that people realize that if they're overlooking hiring disabled people, they're overlooking an entire population of people who want to work. And there's such a common thing right now where people say like, oh, no one wants to work these days.
Yeah.
People say that, but then there's a ton of people with disabilities who do want to work and can't get hired. So it just doesn't make sense. And I hope people start to realize that you can't just rule out an entire group of people. That's actually discrimination, and it's horrible. So I hope that by talking about this and having phenomenal entrepreneurs like yourself, I hope that people start to change their mindset. And I know that's a lot of pressure on you to change the whole world's mindset, but I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
So as an entrepreneur,
Yes.
what is your advice for someone who, like you, has a hobby or a passion and wants to start their own company?
So there is actually a two really good advice for those people out there who really want to start their own company. So there is actually two things I have to say is actually okay. Number one, be willing to work hard. Okay, that is the first one. Second one, you have to. No, sorry. Um, number two is. Number two is you have to. No, sorry. You have to. You love what you do. Is to start your own company. So there's two things. They need to learn who really wants to start their own company and our business is actually have to work hard and the second one is actually love what you do to start their own company. So
I think that's really important and is something that gets left out of the work conversation sometimes is like, especially for people with disabilities that are trying so hard to get any job, it can seem easy to just be like, oh, I'll take whatever I can get.
yeah.
But starting a company is, I mean, it's a big endeavor. It's a big process. And you really got to love what you're doing to be able to handle that. And I would imagine when something like the getting 4,000 orders overnight happens, it's the fact that you love making cookies that is what keeps you going.
Yeah, and also don't forget, you have to work hard too.
Right.
So, and that's
Right. I think
important, too.
that's very important.
Yes,
And it is. You know, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. It is a very hard thing. Like I have thought about it in the past. I don't know if I could handle it. I think it's really, it takes exactly what you said. You have to be willing to work really hard and work outside of 9 to 5 hours and keep going overnight and be willing to ask for help. Like it's a daunting task. And I think that it's important for people to realize, like, if you want to go for it and you love what you do and you're willing to work hard, being an entrepreneur might be for you.
Exactly. Yes, I agree on that. So yes.
Well, I love that. I love everything you're doing. I think that I can't wait to try your cookies.
Yes.
um,
I would love to send you guys of my cookies. I just need to have your address.
Perfect. We'll send you that. I would love some cookies, and then when we record our intro and outro for this episode, we'll record that after, and maybe we'll have had the cookies by then, so we'll be able to say that we tried them because I would love to.
So, yeah. So as my junior cookies, they are not on my website. They are not.
Okay.
They are actually at Stop and Stop and also at Shopbed.
Cool.
But because I actually do have my website is my big ones.
Cool.
And also I forgot it's a thing that says I actually do have. It's actually it's called gift boxes.
Okay.
It's for every occasions.
Okay.
Such as birthdays, Christmas, weddings. I have all of those things. So, and they are
That's incredible.
On my website. So yes, I have so many things on my website. You need to look it up, and it's
Absolutely. I think that's incredible. You're just doing really cool work, and
it's really what to do on my own. That is exactly what I have my mom. She does it big. I do. I know baking all by myself, not from my family and my mom. They with my mom. She is really bad at it, and that's why I have to have her do. I have to have her do is as the emails, PR, public, social media, pictures, videos, and spreadsheet, everything. And
Oh, that's so great that she does that. And then you get to
Yeah.
focus on baking, which is your
Yes.
thing.
actually, so as my own thing is really about baking, yes, packing, shipping, and and my employees, being on TV, being on podcasts, speaking events, and my non-profit, all the good things. That's my job. With my mom, it's like in a different side of a position. So
You have a lot of jobs.
I do.
But that's great. I think
I
that's wonderful.
I love it. I really do.
You love it?
I
That's
love
that's good.
my own company, being my own boss. I make all of my own decisions, and I love that. But I know it's too much. So yeah.
I love that. I think that's really important, and I think that is another thing that people probably underestimate, and sometimes people assume that people with disabilities can't make their own decisions. And like, not only are you making your own decisions for your own life, you're running an entire freaking company. Like, you're making decisions.
I do, but no, we actually. So as my mom, her job is actually way different than my job. So like,
Well, that's amazing.
like emails and setting me up and being on calls, PR. That's her job. So
You guys are an incredible pairing, and I think that that's awesome that you get to work together.
I love my mom very much. I really do. But because she could be she could be too much. I love her so much, always, bottom of my heart. Because she could be very, very, very hard on me. So, but that is actually part of tough love from her. But once again, not from me. So, and her daughter, and so she is my mom, and she can do everything she actually can do. And like, since and she always have been telling me so many times, I will give you a best life possible. I live on my own, independently. I pay all my bills. I walk everywhere. I walk to the gym. I just take long walks. I just going to get coffee. So that's why.
I think it's so important to have family that doesn't think that you can't do anything. They give you that respect and like it is tough love, but I think it does help, especially if you're disabled and you have to deal with society. You have that backup. You have your mom. I have my parents. So it's, it's very important, I think.
Family comes first.
Yes.
It really is.
Absolutely.
I always think that I always go to church, and it's big I go to church every Sunday. It's a big to God, and I always think that always. So I am a caring person, and for everyone, not just me, not just me being my own person. I have to think about other people, in which I have. I worked on it every single day. So
Yeah, and we see that. We see that with what you're doing
yes,
to help other people with disabilities.
exactly.
Yeah, your care is apparent, and it's really wonderful. I'm really grateful for everything you do, and I think I love a family shout out. We I know in season 1 we definitely shouted out our moms a couple times because Erin and I definitely lean on our moms a lot. And you're right that, sometimes the tough love is the best because it's like when the world underestimates me, I know my mom is going to push me forward and I need that. And that's great.
I actually do have a sister too.
Amazing.
She is a missing sister. Since we have been so busy with our own companies, we don't have time is to talk on FaceTime or to talk on the phone. Not that often since we have been really busy. But besides having my sister, I love her so much, just like my mom too. But
is your sister older than you or younger?
So I am actually 33. My sister is actually 27.
Cool.
She is actually youngest than me, yes. And also she is a missing sister I will always have, and my mom too. But besides, with my sister, she used to work for me at the very beginning I start my own company. And then, but then she had to leave my company a long time ago. Because she actually have her own business. So
wow, you are a family of entrepreneurial women. That is incredible.
I know, but so for my sister, she actually goes to Nashville. She goes to Las Vegas. For her business trip for her company. She is actually a event planner.
Oh, cool.
So, and she loves it, but it's a lot of work. So.
Yeah, I think that is the underlying theme of your family is you're not afraid of hard work.
Nope.
That's wonderful. I think this conversation has been amazing, and I really respect the work you do.
Thank you.
I just think you're cool.
because you just make my day. Thank you so much.
No, this has been really wonderful. I think that it's a super important conversation, and is the point of this podcast. This podcast is called Everything You Know About Disability is Wrong, and I think this episode has highlighted that a lot of people get a lot of things wrong in their own assumptions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this episode, for talking with us today, for sharing your story, and for everything you're doing to change public perception and to make sure that people with disabilities everywhere are getting hired. I think that this is one of Easter Seal's main missions, of course, is to help with workforce training and getting people with disabilities hired places, and just helping people understand that accessibility has to be a part of the workforce. And so I think that this is just a really important episode, and I am so grateful for you coming on this episode.
Because thank you so much. I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so happy I am on this podcast. So.
Thanks for listening to this episode. It was so fun to get to talk to Colette and hear about this amazing work that she's doing within the community. I hope that some people's minds have been changed about what they think about what employment for people with disabilities looks like, and realizing that disabled people can lead and be executives and create incredible things just like Colette did.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all about empowerment and kind of making your own way when other people try to stop you. Which I think is what disabled people do all the time. And it shouldn't have to be that way, but it is. And that's very powerful. So I just love this conversation.
Me
and
too.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you to our listeners, and as always, thank you to Easter Seals for giving us the space and resources to share such authentic conversations from within the disability community to our listeners.
And we'll see you next time for another episode of Everything You Know About Disability is Wrong.